Welcome to another edition of the Rhode Island Veterans Information Network. I'm your host, Bert Guarnieri. My co-host, as usual, is Brigadier General Retired Jim D'Agostino. And in the center here is our guest, Hank Suffoletto. The whole reason why we got together with him is when Jim found out about this diorama. I saw a couple of pictures of it and I said, this is incredible. We have to do a story about how this all came about and what it takes to build something like this. So we're in Hank's house now. Hank and Jim are going to talk about back in the old days where they first met and wound up in the Army together and served in Vietnam. And we're going to show you the details of this beautiful diorama of a place called LZ Amy in a place far, far away called Vietnam.
First, I'd like to start off, Brother Bert, Brother Hank, with a toast to all of our fallen comrades and all those who are serving today to preserve that greatest gift that we've all been given as Americans, and that's freedom. Yeah, you know, a long time ago, I received this greetings from the President of the United States, and it said, "Dear James D'Agostino, we're proud to announce that you are hereby inducted into the armed forces of the United States of America." In other words, it was a draft notice. And frankly, I was kind of like taken aback, although not totally surprised. At the time, I was proudly attending, at least I thought I was proudly attending, the University of Rhode Island. Somehow enjoyed the social aspect of college life a lot more than the studious educational aspect of it. And the end result was, "Dear James D'Agostino, due to your poor scholastic record, I unfortunately have to dismiss you from the College of Engineering." Well, okay. And oh, by the way, I was paying my own way through college. Now you think of that, okay? So the net result was not a surprise to me. Very, very shortly after that, I received this letter, greetings from the President of the United States, and my mother was totally aghast when she saw the letter, because she only had two boys and one daughter, and one of her boys was already serving. And she says, "Oh, we need to do something. You know, your brother's already serving in the Army." He had joined to go to Vietnam. Instead, they ended up sending him to Korea. And she says, "You're going to go to Vietnam. They're going to send you to Vietnam." So she said, "I'm going to talk to the captain who lives next door." And there was a young captain who lived next door, and he was in the Rhode Island Army National Guard. And my mother made it a point to talk to him. And he said to her, "Mrs. D'Agostino," says, "don't worry about anything." He goes, "Even though there's a long waiting list, I can get your son, James, in the National Guard. Because he is going to end up in Vietnam. There's no doubt about it." He said, "I'll talk to him." And you know, I thought about my brother who joined. And then I thought about my Uncle Paul D'Agostino, who I never knew, a 25-year-old who signed up in World War II and died with the 5 Sullivan brothers at the Battle of Guadalcanal on 13 November 1942, I believe. And I said, you know what? Maybe the best thing for me is to just let the Lord take over. And I rejected the whole idea of joining the Guard. And I says, whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera, the Italian expression. Hoping deep down inside that it'll give me the kick in the pants that I need to get serious about life and what I need to do. I always wanted to be an engineer, but I just was, I guess, too naive about so many things. So I joined the United States Army. And then the next thing I knew, I was on a train from Rhode Island down to ultimately Fort Jackson, South Carolina. What I didn't know was on that same train my dear Vietnam brother, Hank Suffoletto here. I mean, there were, I don't know how many people. My guess is probably 200 or 300 people because the train made stops on the way heading south and picked up more draftees. There were a lot of us on that train. And everybody in processed. I think I was there. I think I remember I was there for 2 or 3 days. But I got my hair cut. I got all of my army clothes and whatnot. And then suddenly, I, along with probably another 200 or 300 people, were put on buses to be driven to Fort Gordon, Georgia. So I had my basic training at Fort Gordon, Georgia. My dear brother Hank, who I still did not know at that time, stayed at Fort Jackson along with probably the bulk of those folks that were on that train and had their basic training there. Upon the completion of basic, I had my orders for Fort Polk, Louisiana, Tigerland. Everybody said, if you get orders for Fort Polk, Tigerland, you're going to Nam. Probably 90% of us got those orders. And at Fort Polk, I met this other fellow who was from Rhode Island, my brother Hank Suffoletto. And that began a whole new adventure serving in the United States Army. And more importantly, friendship. It's an experience that I will never forget. I can never forget. I love this man as though he literally is my brother, because when
Brothers
you serve,
in combat are thicker than
Exactly.
family blood.
especially when we all proudly wear what to us is the most important medal that we can wear. More important, and I mean absolutely no disrespect, to Medal of Honor recipients, because they truly went above and beyond the call of duty. But you ask any Army combat veteran the most important medal they wear, and they will tell you it's the combat infantry badge. So I want to now turn it over to my dear brother Hank. Hank, tell us your story.
Oh, my story is it's kind of simple. Wanted to be an accountant.
You never told me that.
I wanted to be an
All
accountant.
right.
So I go to Roger Williams University, and I'm going and I'm going to take classes. Well, I get ancient history, I get history, I get English. I'm getting all this stuff. Where are the numbers? I've been in Catholic school from
The beginning.
from the beginning, and I graduated from Mount St. Charles. I'm getting all this. I already had all this stuff. What? Show me the numbers. I want to know how to become an accountant. Well, I ended up playing chess every morning with a guy that said I could beat you all the time. I said, well, okay, come on, let's play. So we played. Class would start. Hank would cut it. Hank would cut the second one. Hank would cut the third one. And
Sounds
like
like
Jimmy
me.
said, I'm sorry, but you know what? Your academics are not as good as we would like. You need to leave. Okay. So my father says to me, I think you better think this out because there's a war going on. You're going to get drafted. Okay, so I go from Roger Williams, I go to Johnson, Wales. I do the same thing. I'm up on Pine Street someplace, and I'm doing class. Well, I got a half an hour before class. You know what? Come on, let's play. Cut class. Same scenario. See you later. Goodbye. My father says to me, you know, son, you could get drafted and go to Vietnam, and you may not come home. And I said, well, I guess at this point, Dad, I got to do what I got to do. So I did. So on June 14th, unfortunately, June 14th is the day I got drafted. June 14th is Flag Day. And June 14th was the day my father passed away.
God rest his soul.
So, anyways, he drives me to someplace in Woonsocket, I don't know, post office, bank, or whatever it was, and drops me off and says, see you later, son. We'll talk to you later. Right. So we do the same thing. Jimmy's in Providence. I'm in Providence. We get on the train. The guy says to me, see this number? US 51613-473. You better remember it by the time you get to wherever we're going. You had to remember yours.
5161849.
You had to remember that number.
Absolutely.
I mean, for however many miles it was from Providence to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, that's all you did was try to remember that number because Well, I don't know what they're going to do to me. Right? Today, it's a different ballgame. But anyways, get to Fort Polk, do my training, do whatever, get orders, from Jackson to Polk, get to Polk, do whatever. I meet Jimmy. Oh, I'm from Providence. Really? I'm from Woonsocket. Really? Oh, we finished jungle training, all odd stuff, and we get orders. Jimmy, what's your orders? I said, I'm going to Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. So am I. Really? So now we end up in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Marical just started up their new division. We were the 2nd Battalion, I think they got to know.
How old were you when you hit Vietnam, when you got there? How old were you? Remember
I
that?
believe I was 21.
21?
Yep.
What was your first impression? You got off a plane, I imagine, in Ponsanut.
No, we got off a plane in Da Nang.
Da Nang.
No, Chulai. We landed in
From
Chulai.
the States?
From Hawaii.
From
We
Hawaii.
went as a whole battalion.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. What was your first impression when you got off and looked out?
And you go,
Where
a lot
am
of
I?
sand,
Yeah.
a lot of nothing, a lot of canvas tents,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of guys running around. And then from there, from the tents, they put us on helicopters and they flew us to Thunder.
Yes,
LZ
LZ Thunder was our first.
Okay, so now the choppers are landing. We're all getting off. There's a 105 howitzer unit on another hill behind us. They fire a smoke round into the side of the hill as the choppers were going down. You want to talk about trying to figure out what's going on? Welcome to Vietnam. And there we are. So now they stuck us in mortars. Well, he was going to be a forward observer.
Yes.
He would have been out with the line companies doing whatever, called me, doing high angle hell, doing the stuff. And unfortunately, or fortunately for him,
thank you.
our platoon sergeant had called him in and said, "You and that other wop friend of yours."
He was a Southerner. He did not like Italians.
But anyways, he put us together, and unfortunately, I was the fire direction chief, and Jimmy was my assistant, but my equal. We both somebody's got to be here, and somebody has to be here, and
Exactly.
and you know what, Jimmy happened to be here, but we're both equal.
God
And you
bless
know what?
You're being very kind.
In the long run, after my 19 months and 15 days of active duty, I am in the presence of a retired brigadier general. God bless him.
So I took a totally different path. I appreciate that.
But
But you and I will always be equals. And you were always my boss in Vietnam.
No,
And
whatever.
I'll never forget that.
That's 52 years ago.
But you were a damn good boss, because we got along great.
We got along really good,
Yes.
and we still get along.
Of
really
course
good.
we better.
And we served in Hawaii together, and got shipped over, and we did what we were trained to do, and we trained other people, he and I,
Yes.
and to a point where the guy that we trained thanks both of us in a book that he wrote.
That's right. That's right.
Jack Head
Yes, God
wrote
bless
a
him.
book about thanking us for teaching them the
Right.
survival skills that they needed to continue after we left,
Right.
and which was a great honor.
Yeah. And
but-
I remember when Hank told me that, and I said, "You're gonna be kidding me." He goes, "Yeah, your name is mentioned in there besides mine." For how much we drilled into their heads, the importance of getting the fire missions correct, first time, every time. And I was like totally shocked. And when I finally met Jack, many, many years later, not that long ago, I thanked him for putting together a book and mentioning, his appreciation of both Brother Hank and my teachings and knowledge that we tried to give to them so that they could do the best job that they possibly could. But I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was a great honor for him to write about us.
Absolutely.
So you moved together from Hawaii to
Yes.
Vietnam.
Yes.
And by
And
this
then
time
from
you were
Vietnam
in
to home, and then my father picked us up at the airport.
As a matter of fact, if you remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know
We're
if it
the
was
only
after.
two on the plane.
We were the only two after. I think we had 30
and a
days
commercial
leave.
flight.
30 days leave after Fort Polk, the advanced infantry training, before we went to Hawaii, Schofield Barracks. We went home. We had 30 days leave. We were the only two passengers on the flight.
Yeah. We were the
Imagine.
only two on the plane.
Yes.
It was amazing. I mean, to spend that kind of money,
Yes.
think about all the poor guys that left California, Fort Ord, and got on a ship
Right.
Yeah.
and then go over there and who got
I don't know
seasick.
why
That's
that
right.
happened. Why some
Yeah.
people went
Well,
by
they-
boat
well,
and some didn't.
The Navy always takes the Marines to fight.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
not
the
Army.
Marines
yeah.
don't like the Navy.
Yeah.
And the Army, the Navy doesn't
Yeah,
take
we-
us to fight.
No, we flew
Exactly.
over.
I mean, you either in a C-130. I don't want to
Yeah,
say a C-130
well-
would make it, but what?
Well, no, they can with refueling. Absolutely.
refueling. That's
yeah.
right. Because on our way home,
Yep.
we stopped in Japan
We stopped in Japan.
to refuel. It was a commercial flight.
Right. I'll tell you, it was one hell of an experience. Although, you know what? Most of us fell asleep. We were so exhausted. We just fell asleep on that long flight all the way back home.
When that plane left, we all get boarded on this plane, and we're sitting on a tarmac, and we're sitting, and we're sitting, and we're sitting, and going, really? Come on.
Yeah, right.
What's going on? Well, apparently they found some IEDs on the runway, and they were clearing them so that we could take. When that plane took off,
My
you
memory-
could have heard a pin drop
Right.
on that carpet on that plane. That's how quiet it was. It was amazing to go, and knowing that you were
Everybody-
going home with all your faculties,
Thank you.
facilities, whatever.
And when we landed in the States, many of us literally kissed the ground. All right. We took a few seconds and kissed the pavement to be back in the land of the big PX.
You know,
The whole year of emotions were packed into that takeoff. I
Yes.
remember it well myself. Yeah, it was the same experience. It was just like everybody's like scared, wondering, happy.
Yep.
All these emotions are going through your mind. I'm going home. Am I gonna make it? I got this far.
Yeah. You're
And-
thinking,
but
is the
you-
plane going to crash?
Yeah.
The ultimate
but
insult.
think about, I mean, at 52 years later, it's tough to remember.
Is it that long?
It's well, we started LZ Amy in 68
That's right.
in September, so it's
Yeah. It's 52 plus.
52 years
Yeah.
plus a few months
Okay.
that we.
Gotta put your memory caps on.
Sometimes I do feel that old, actually, brother Hank.
You know what? Days are long, the years are short.
Ah, I like that.
I have no idea where the 52 years went.
Yeah.
And then after I retired, they said, go home, son, because there's too many of you guys. We don't have any spot to put you.
Right.
So I said, okay, send me the piece of paper that says I'm all done. So I went to work for the phone company, and I get this order one day, and it says, James D'Agostino, West Greenwich. I said, holy shit, can't be the same guy, can it be? Sure as hell. I ended up putting his phone in his house for him way back when.
Yes, you did.
And
it worked, beautiful.
Prior to that, though, my wife was teaching in kindergarten at Maisie Quinn School in West Warwick, and she's on the phone talking with one of her teacher friends, and I heard the name D'Agostino, and I'm saying to myself, D'Agostino, I only know one guy that's D'Agostino. So she hangs up, and I said to her, D'Agostino, when you go back tomorrow, find out if your husband's name is Jim. She comes home after work. I come home after work, sit down. She said, oh, by the way, her husband's name is Jim. And I went, are you kidding me? Really? We live so close.
Right.
We have not talked
That's right. And
after so many years because he did his thing, I did mine.
exactly.
And we kind of lost touch.
Right.
But the school teaching thing put us back together.
Imagine.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And
Just
he
amazing.
only lives
Yeah,
7 to 10 minutes away
Yeah,
from me
yeah,
right
not-
at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But at our age, We've done it
We've done it, and
We-
we're proud of it,
and proud of it.
and always
Correct.
shall be.
So far, it's been a very, very interesting conversation with you two gentlemen. Really pleased to listen to some of the stories of how you guys got together. Notice in the background there, we've got the real reason why we came to visit you, Hank. And we're going to get into that in the next segment. But tell us a little bit of why that diorama
Why that is
there.
where it is.
Yeah.
Jim and I and our mortar platoon Echo Company of the 4th to the 21st have been on many different LZs. They
Correct.
put us here, they pick us up, they drop us off someplace else, set up here, back up those guys on flat land, dig foxholes, register your guns, and then support us.
Perfect.
So, of all the LZs that we were on,
Landing zones, that's what LZs
landing zones, fire bases, whatever you want to call
Right.
them. This one was a brand new hill. It's 4,600 and change feet above sea level in the middle of nowhere.
are. We can see the
It
South
is
China Sea.
between Da Nang and Laos. And the bulldozers came in, pushed whatever they had to do over. We were in charge of getting those guns mounted, registered, before anything got built. I mean, it was rainy season, it was mud, it was leeches, it was everything. Get all the guns registered, positioned, whatever. And then from there, we don't know how long we're staying, but we're staying. So we build this fire base, and the opposite side of the hill was a 105 battery of 4 guns.
Correct.
So we were on one side, and they were on the other at basically the same time. So this is one of the last LZs out of, I think, 7 that we were on.
Yes.
And then we left from here. Here is where we trained the
Jack
Jack
Head,
Head,
exactly.
in the Craig Birchfields
Right.
of the world, and to take our place to going forward. So I always like miniatures. I built a restaurant. Of a restaurant.
I saw
a
it.
1926 diner that was made in
Incredible.
Worcester. It was in front of my mother's house, and I built one for the 2 owners years ago as a Christmas gift to a party. The authenticity, the detail is amazing. So after I finished that, I went, I got to do something else. And then I started looking at Vietnam pictures, and I said, you know what? I'm going to build the hill that we were on. Jimmy and I had both had pictures taken. I got in touch with Jimmy. He gave me all the pictures he had. I got whatever I got in the aerial photographs and trying to put this together. And then knowing a few other people that I can email, I can send them the pictures to do whatever to get this thing going. So there it is.
We had a very nice discussion, and which a lot of things that led up to your tour of duty in Vietnam. But now we want to get into the nitty gritty of this particular diorama. It is so unbelievably realistic. I don't even know I hope the camera can capture in close-up detail what you've done to make this thing what it is today. I can see, I'll just name a couple of things of how every soldier has skin tone, who has
Mud on his boots.
mud on his boots, the sandbags, how they came and what they look like now. The idea that there's, I think, 4 guns, or
Yes.
we call them guns, 4 tubes,
Right.
which are 4 deuce, 4.2 inch.
107 millimeter, bigger than a 105 howitzer round.
Right. Is this a company?
This is Echo Company.
So there's 4 of
There's
these
4
tubes?
companies. There's Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo.
All right.
Echo usually is the mortar platoon and your FOs.
How many
Right.
weapons in there?
There's 4 in a mortar platoon.
Okay.
4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
So I want to point out that this is not only is a scale model, but this is what LZ Amy actually looked like. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right.
A couple of years ago, I built a model of a 1929 Worcester-made on a wagon on wheels of a diner that used to sit in front of my mother's house. And I built it for the original 2 owners of that at a Christmas party. and somebody took that diner and put it back into service, and it's sitting in a mall. And I decided to make that model. I made the model way more to scale than the other one. And then that was done. And then I said, I gotta do something else. Looking through my Vietnam pictures, saying, why can't I recreate the LZ that Jimmy and I were both on for 8 months and left intact
Thank you.
to these people?
In one piece.
So I did. So I started. I got in touch with Jimmy. He had some pictures. I had some pictures. I have in contact with a couple of other people. I have sent pictures to them and saying, who are these guys? What is this? What do you think about that? What do you think? And here it came. So now the deal is, how do you find 135-inch scale sandbags? How do you find ammo boxes that are 1/35 scale? You can't. The only thing I could find was the mortar itself, which is now discontinued, with these 3 guys. The rest of it is my creation. So with the pictures that we had, all the ammo boxes that build up the sides, took care of the culvert, and then sandbagged on top of that. So there are 4,000 sandbags in this diorama.
Unbelievable.
So what I did was I took the original, I bought some original sandbags, and then I had fiberglass. I made silicone molds of configurations that I needed. 4s, 3s, 3.5s, 5s. So that's what these are. This is what the sandbag looked like after the mold. This is what it looks like after painted.
So every single sandbag you had to paint.
I had to
After
paint
you
every
created them.
strip.
Right.
Had to be painted.
And
What
you
is
notice
this,
that
what is this material?
All right, that's a plastic. It's a resin.
Okay,
It's
resin. Okay.
They use it in Hollywood, and they do all this kind of crazy stuff with it.
But these sandbags, to make them real, as we remember them, you had to not only paint them like an olive drab green, but then you had to paint them
I had
with
to
the
make-
dirt,
with
the
the dirt on 'em.
sand.
With the
mud.
dirt on them, right.
I mean, this is just unbelievable.
And then I had a box, an original 4-deuce ammo box.
We used to get 2 rounds in a
2
box.
rounds to a box.
Right.
And I took that, and I took the size of it, and I made it to 1/35 scale. And
Oh, my
then I
God.
cut little wooden blocks.
Oh, come on.
The little wooden blocks are 1/35 scale of the 4-deuce mortar boxes. Then I had to put hinges on them, which is basically a dot. The handles on the side, which are lines.
Right.
But the wood that's on the side of those, there's 2 on the top, and then there's 2 on each side.
How many ammo boxes? Do you remember?
2,500.
2,500. Oh, my God.
This was my hooch. This was Jimmy's hooch. And then you had your different mortar guys.
Right.
And I have a picture of each one of those mortar squads with each individual name
Right.
that belonged to those guns. That would be right there with an LZ Amy.
Sign. Yeah. At our little landing pad that separated us from the 105 howitzer.
Correct. The landing pad was down here somewhere.
Right.
Concern was try to recreate something that, even though there was only 6 guys that I can get in contact with that would appreciate this, I wish I could get in touch with more,
Right.
but it was just a lot of fun.
Fun? How many hours total, roughly?
400 and change.
Oh, my God. Closer to 500, really.
Wow. But some of these things that you need to make like a box of
Sea rations.
sea rations.
Those are the individual meals. And this is the
there were
outside of
12
it.
meals in each case of sea rations.
And they were delicious.
And they were all different. And the name of the actual meal is on there. You can't see this unless you have a telescope. But this is incredible.
But it's printed, and you can see it if you really look at it with a magnifying glass. It's incredible.
Well, you wanted the detail. When I saw sea rations, I went,
Well,
oh
of
my
course.
God,
Yeah,
Jesus.
we ate enough
Where
of
do
them.
where do I find those? And
Right.
so in getting in touch with other guys, and most of them were actually squad leaders, they kind of like made sure that the pictures that I sent to them with some highlights in it and questions, that they reinforced what I thought was still the right way of doing this.
I noticed this earlier. This is incredible. Now, this was the combination, shower and...
Okay, the Fire Direction Center that I ran and Jimmy was, both of us ran the Fire Direction Center that gave the instructions
He was
to the
he
guns.
was the director. I was the assistant.
Okay, whatever, we both sent information to these guns, charges, whatever, to fire. It came out of this unit right here, this little Connex container.
Right.
Which is because most of our firing was done at night. Not a lot in the daytime because there was no movement. Nighttime is when we defended. So we made this little thing with all Playboy centerfolds inside of it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and it's whatever. Then we decided we don't have a shower. So we built this one little thing shower with a 55-gallon drum and a tin can underneath it. And everybody that needed to take a shower brought 5 gallons of water with them.
It was there 5 gallons.
Correct.
Unless it was the monsoon season.
Then you didn't.
Then
need
we
that.
didn't worry about. We had all
But
the
I
water in the
want to
world.
look at that door. Now, you told me,
Okay.
I think
that is
earlier...
an actual picture of the door that we had in Vietnam. It is got the 2 Playboy bunnies and Mickey Mouse in the middle. The thing underneath it, which is hard to read, are actually 4 deuces of playing cards and a deck of cards. The 4
That
deuces.
symbolized
Diamonds,
what?
the 4 deuce size
Thank
of this
you.
mortar.
Right.
Very nice.
So, high angle
It was
held.
kind of an inside joke, but it was not... everybody on the LZ knew what that meant.
Correct.
4 deuce.
Especially the 105 guys.
Yeah.
What did they put on there?
Well, they
Nothing like that.
no,
Yeah, right.
no.
Right.
So it was tough to recreate mud in whatever. So
Thank God. I know
we have this walkway that kind of like kept our boots out of mud in front of most of the hooches and stuff, made out of ammo crate covers. Every place has got an M16. Most of them all have water cans. The ammo rounds. It's tough to find an ammo round that looks like that. Those are actually part of a fiber optic connector. I cut them in half because I wanted the metal piece on the back. And I made little tips for the top.
Now going around, if we look at this, let's say we start here and just kind of go around. Was this
This is gun number 4.
gun number 4? And who was on that?
It was Donald Atkinson was the squad leader. We had a Jackson, Sutton, Erickson, Mark Clark, and Mastis. That was gun number 4. And they basically, the squad leader stayed in here. This was basically stored ammo. This was an 81 millimeter pit. I didn't put the gun in there because we basically didn't use it at all. And then these were the squads, some for 3 and some for 4, depending on if they got a fire mission, they came running out of there, and some came running out of there, and whatever. Gun number 3, my friend Wayne Van Winkle, he was the squad leader here, and he had Steve Davis, Anderson, Nola, you know.
And just for our viewers, could you tell them what these red and white stakes were?
The aiming stakes are actually reference points. They're placed between 100 and 150 yards apart, or 50 and 100 yards apart. And what that does is the gunner with the sight lines up the left edge of both of these, and when he fires, that's his reference point, and then we know that it's in the same place all the time. So anytime somebody says, I need a round over here, the guy lines up his sight with those 2 aiming stakes at a deflection, turning like an azimuth on his sight. So when he lines up, it's going to put it right.
So that's the
here.
permanent reference point.
That's a permanent reference point. It's the first thing you do when you get to a hill is to do whatever.
Right, exactly.
All right, so gun number 4, this is your buddy,
Yes,
Joe.
Michigan.
He's from Michigan, so he had Kelsey, Woody, Mike, Dave Rittinger, and Enrico Ugolini.
Golini, our old buddy. God bless him.
And this is where their hooches were and whatever. Now, these people on the outside were line companies, like Mr. Bert here.
Yeah, this looks like me in the day with my
Correct.
M60 machine gun.
They would come out and they would
Do
come out in the
perimeter
field.
security.
and then do security around an LZ for a week or two or whatever, and then
That
go back.
was a rest for us.
It was a rest, correct. And then gun number one, Dwayne Dobbs is the squad leader here, and unfortunately, the poor guy was killed in an accident in California.
Oh, God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. And he worked for AT&T like I did.
Oh, wow.
And he had Dennis Scott, Lowell Barnhart, Mike Zamora, and Mike Blastine.
Mike Zamora, I think, from California.
He was from California,
That's what
Mike.
I thought.
He was a hot ticket.
Yes, he was.
I have come close. I have a guy burning
The same.
poop.
Yes.
Okay,
We
here.
all did that.
Yeah, with diesel fuel.
With
That was
diesel,
always a-
diesel fuel poured in there with the charges, the nitroglycerin charges from the mortar rounds that we
Oh.
didn't use.
We didn't have
to
that.
No.
Just keep it going, whatever.
Yeah, that was a plus. We didn't get that. We just had the
You know, and then we have
straight diesel.
a men's room urinating tube. And then we have a gentleman that popped smoke for the Chinook that delivered us slings of ammo. He threw a smoke round to give the helicopter a spot to
When
drop
we look
it.
at this, the detail is so unbelievable. You've got ammo cans. What were the gray ones?
Those are fuse cans.
Fuse
Yeah, we had to put
cans,
fuses
That's right,
on
the
our rounds.
fuses, yeah.
rounds, some more ammo boxes, an ammo little storage
These were
area.
sleeves that the rounds came in the boxes.
That's
Protect
right, the
sleeves,
tube.
yeah.
But this is the one that got me when you had the box of sea rations opened up and you can see inside.
Well, there's one.
the cover
they're on every one of them.
You can see my
incredible.
favorite, ham and lima beans.
Oh
Yep.
man!
Beans
Yes.
and Franks.
Well,
You know
Beans
what
and
was a
Franks
lousy
number
one?
I know it was.
Ham and eggs. Nobody liked those. You wound up with them. You either threw them away or gave them to somebody who liked them, which was nobody.
Right.
And I remember when we would go, and sometimes go through villages, and there'd be little kids, and we'd want to give them some food, so we'd throw them some sea rat. They knew what they were. They had P-38s to open them up.
Do you know why it's called a P-38?
No, but I want to tell you first.
All right,
when I
tell
would
me
give,
first, and then I'll tell you
give
why.
away like ham and eggs or ham and lima beans to the
Ham
Vietnamese
slices,
children.
pork slices.
They took them, right?
they threw them back at us because they didn't even like it.
No.
Go ahead. Yes.
Do you know why it's called a P-38?
No, tell us.
It takes 38 turns to open a sea ration can.
No.
Yes, it
Unless
does.
you miss.
Wow.
No, 38, and that was included with the K rations back in World War II.
With the
Wow.
instructions.
Yeah,
38
exactly,
turns. That's
right.
why it's called a P-38.
Wow. See,
Um,
there's a bit of history.
So, anyways, you got me walking out of my hooch over here.
Yeah, that
And
looks
you
like
got,
it.
you
Well,
got
the handsome dude.
You got the handsome guy, and then you got Jimmy coming down this way. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something. And then this, I think this might be Van Winkle coming down the walkway, going back down to his
Van
gun.
Winkle.
But the people that I'm in contact with, Wayne Van Winkle, Jack Head, Craig Birchfield, Joe Bonanni, Skip Sherman, those guys have helped me. I've sent them pictures that are annotated and just asking questions. Who is this? Who is,
Right.
I don't remember 52 years ago. Jimmy has sent a bunch of pictures, given me a bunch of pictures, and we've had lunch together and we talked about it. But those guys helped also. They didn't have any aerial photography. Jimmy and I both had aerial shots of this as we flew in back to the hill so that we had some reference to do and whatever.
The aerial shots that fortunately you and I were able to take.
Whatever teaching we had to do somewhere else,
Exactly.
I don't remember. But
But we took our camera with us usually, and we always try to take shots, both leaving landing zone Amy, LZ Amy, and returning. So we do have a handful of aerial shots, and that's what Brother Hank used to try to replicate this as accurately as possible.
yeah, that was a Kodak 101.
Right.
There's the camera.
Right.
But mine was a
And
Polaroid.
thing.
And yeah, and I saw the Polaroid,
Yep.
and I have some Polaroids of whatever. But our aerial shots basically were from the Kodak. The film, put it in an envelope, send it to Palo Alto, California. They send it back to you either as slides or pictures, and then from there you sent them home. That way
Right.
there you had something
Right.
on the way back. But the squad leaders like Van Winkle and Joe Bonanni, they took individual pictures of their whole gun in their crew. You guys line up.
Right.
Somebody take my picture with my crew. Because you don't remember everybody.
Are you kidding?
Doing this was just I don't know, I needed to do something or whatever.
Yeah. But it's spectacular.
Was it used as some form of
Therapy?
therapy
No.
at all?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay.
No, it was just something. Can
You
I
want
build
it?
this?
Can you?
Yes, I can.
And once
and
you
then,
started,
and then
you
once I
will-
started, that was the end of it.
What I want to say, and it's hard for me to say this. Clearly, Brother Hank, we served together 8 months at Landing Zone Amy. And there's memories that we've had there that neither you nor I will ever forget as long as we live. And yet you came up with the idea to recreate as accurately as possible based on the best information we had, and that was some 2 or 3 aerial shots that you and I took. And what you've done is beyond remarkable. It's something that I personally can never thank you for, because it means so much to me, as I know it means to you, especially since you created it, spending hundreds of hours of time and hundreds of dollars of your own money just on your own. So I just want to thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, God bless you. And I couldn't have had a
better
better
friend.
guy
Yep, you're right.
to serve in Vietnam with than this man. God bless you. This is spectacular.
It was a fun thing to do, and I gotta say thanks to all the guys.
Yeah. Yep. I know. We know. We know.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this visit, and I want to thank you again for inviting us into your house and showing us this creation that is just beyond words, and I'm not going to expound on it anymore. You can see it, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I have a little surprise for you.
Oh.
Because you weren't available a little while back when we had our 75th anniversary of the Combat Infantryman's
Right.
badge,
Yes.
we gave out something to all our charter members. And what I like to do is just present you with this plaque
Ah, beautiful.
that reminds you that you are a charter member of Company A, 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, Rhode Island. When we were established back on 20th of February,
Wow.
2002.
It's hard to believe, huh? 18 years ago.
So
Wow.
that's
Almost
for you.
19.
I hope you can put that in a place of honor and enjoy it,
Thank you.
and well deserved. So everybody that was a charter member was given one of those.
God bless you.
I don't know what to say. Thank
And-
you.
That's all you gotta say.
And he created these plaques.
Did a great job.
All right.
He's
Great
not
job.
as great a creator as yours, but he's not bad.
No, he's good. He's good. That's a real nice. It's really,
I
really
think
nice.
a lot. I don't do a lot. I think.
I couldn't have done it.
That's
Alright,
cool.
So
Thank
to
you.
all our friends and family out there, and all the vets that
Yes.
watch the show, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you the next time. And as always, we thank you for your service, and we salute you.